I just wanted to talk about my personal growth journey. I think it's important as a life coach to be able to be vulnerable and share exactly what I've gone through because I think it helps serve my clients. And I think also anyone who's listening to this story, I'm going to be posting several of these in a series. And the first one I wanted to talk about was early in my career. So I help women who are in burnout to throw away the good girl rule book that we've all been handed and to be able to live a life on their terms. But what happens is we get bombarded with all kinds of conditioning and different messages and different experiences that shape us as we grow up. And a lot of times we don't even realize how we're performing as adults, how much of an impact the things that have happened in our past might be hindering us from being able to move forward. So I'm hoping some of my very vulnerable and personal stories on my growth journey will help you. So early in my career, I was always the one who could get that job. You know, I was good at getting jobs and getting paid what I thought was a reasonable salary. I didn't make much money, and I didn't have any plans or any goals. I didn't go out and think about, okay, I want to do this and I'm going to do that, and this is how I'm going to get to where I want to be. I didn't do any of that. I just kind of floated around and I went from job to job. I started out as an office manager. I was a bartender, a bank teller, and then a flight attendant. And then I knew that I wanted something more. So I moved to New York City. It's a long story about how I got there. And I got into banking of all things. And the reason I chose banking was they would pay for my school and I could go and get my bachelor's. I went back to school. I finished my undergrad degree and I graduated with honors. And then I was president of the Honor Society, the Alpha Chi Honor Society at my college. I want you to understand why that was such a big achievement. No one in my family had gotten a degree. I was the only one in my immediate family. That was number one. The other thing, and it's really important to share, is my dad always said to me and us kids, you don't need to have a college degree unless you're going to be an attorney or a doctor. And so that was embedded in my brain that I don't need a degree. And so when I moved to New York City and started working in banking, I'm like, yeah, you do need a degree. That's why I chose the job that I chose. I was in New York City and I was like a building manager prior to that. So as a building manager, I saw all these successful people and I'm like, wow, I want to be like that. And the only way I was going to get ahead and get the jobs that I wanted was to get a degree. So no matter what my dad said to me, I knew that if I wanted to get ahead, that's what I had to do. So I broke through that programming. So here's the thing about the programming. Though that's just one example. I'm going to give a lot of examples of things that personally happened to me, and maybe you can identify and start to notice this in yourself. It could be that it helps you find the reason that you're blocked from moving ahead in your career. And also, if you're burnt out, then take it from me, because we're going to get to that story too. This is just the start. This is just a little snippet of how things that have happened in our past can still be holding us back. And it may not seem like a big deal, but I just want you to know that when I graduated, I felt like I betrayed my dad in some way because of what he always told me, and it was like, hey, this is for me, this is for my career. I know this is going to bring value down the road and I'm doing it for me, but I still had an inner critic saying, ooh, you better be careful. Don't talk too much about this to your dad, or my siblings or anyone in my family. And so I didn't realize how much my inner critic was really trying to stop me from proceeding. First of all, let me just say, coming from South Florida and being able to live on my own. And I keep thinking of the song, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. New York, New York. I can't sing very well, but you get the point. And so I would sing that to myself when I had these moments of accomplishment, and that was a big one for me. So I celebrated my wins, still feeling guilty in the back of my mind, like I had done something wrong. And, knowing logically it's okay to go get my degree, but it was my inner critic and my fears about making my father be disappointed in me because he told me I didn't need one. So logically, I knew this, but that's how I was behaving. So the breaking point for me was when I got a letter from my dad, and I was afraid to open it because it was after graduation and he knew I graduated. But until I got a letter from him and he wrote about how proud he was of me for getting that degree, I didn't realize how fearful I was until that moment when I read that letter about how scared I was that I wasn't going to get his approval. And I got his approval. But sometimes these things are hidden so deeply in us that we don't know that we're operating with this kind of mindset in the back of our minds. So it was at that point that I started to look inward, tried to notice all the sneaky things that might have been holding me back, and started coaching other women too and mentoring them to help them to realize where they may be holding themselves back in their career. I have a lot of these stories and things that I wanted to share with you about things that I personally moved through to help you on your personal growth journey, or at least I hope it does. So if you liked what you're hearing and this resonates with you, remember to like and follow me so that you'll hear more about my story. And I hope it helps you too. So I also want to ask you to share any experiences that you might have had in the chat below. Okay? Until next time.